So for all of you guys out there who are concerning yourselves with the federal government shutdown and particularly the handouts that will become rescinded in the near future, to be honest, if you don't want to hear disappointing news, then I suggest you guys stop this video. For the rest of you guys who are not oblivious to reality and what's going on today, continue to listen, because the federal government, as of right now, is back open, at least because of a continuing resolution that will allow Congress and Trump to rabble and ramble on for at least a few more weeks about the wall. As far as doing the video about the wall, in my opinions, I'm pretty indifferent to it. Even if you build the wall, you're still going to have people who, instead of crossing the border or jumping the border, they'll just do the El Chapo strategy. And you can look that up if you don't know what that is. But as far as this handouts and cutting them and the cuts are concerned, yes, I'm seeing a lot of men out there who are hinging on Trump cutting funds, cutting food stamps, cutting SNAP, cutting Section 8, cutting WIC and SHIC and STIC and all these other handout programs that particular individuals, particularly the Scraggle Daggle and other daggles of other races, have been getting for some time. Now, as much as I'd like to think that these cuts will go into motion, we have to face facts. We are now in a split Congress where the House is controlled by Democrats and the Senate is controlled by Republicans. This is different from the first 2 years where Trump had full control of the House and the Senate. And with that power, he was able to do almost anything he wanted. Granted, you had a lot of individuals, even within his party, who tried to stop him on certain things, including Obamacare, referred to the late Senator John McCain. But as far as this is concerned, if Trump were to have initiated the cuts from the welfare state, he would have done them during the first 2 years of his presidency. At this point, you have too many Democrats in the House whose votes, jobs, and livelihoods are too dependent on those daggles and other individuals who are getting federal handouts to risk their jobs by voting for any sort of welfare reform. Remember, welfare reform last time came in the late 90s when Newt Gingrich led a Republican takeover of the Senate and the House. But for all of you who want cuts, for all of you who want the welfare mind state to end, for all of you who want the daggles to get off their rear ends and either find a job or beg and cower back to you with their hearts and legs open, that's not going to happen anytime soon. I wouldn't hold my breath on stuff like that. As far as this daggle is concerned, and as far as other individuals who are taking the dole, America is too dependent on these kind of individuals. There are companies that are too dependent on the welfare state who are making a killing right now, especially since the middle class is being decimated and all you're having left at this point are those who are super rich and those who are super poor. We're returning to what is called a feudal society, if you guys haven't noticed. So there are too many people on the dole in which if we were to implement some sort of even moderate amount of cuts, the fabric of this country would be on a house of cards. But as far as the reason why some of you want these cuts, some of you want them, and I include myself in this category, because a lot of us didn't get breaks while we were going through the struggle. A lot of us didn't get any sort of handouts while we were on our down and out. Or if we did get some sort of assistance, it was from our friends and family. It definitely wasn't from the government of any sort of way. Or if we did get some sort of handout, the handout was temporary at best, like disability or unemployment pay or something like that. But for the most part, we weren't allotted a lifestyle in which everything was paid for to the degree that we could, as they say when it comes to the welfare queen, go to the store and buy pounds of lobster and steak off the dime of the American taxpayer. We weren't given that much handouts, if any at all. So that is part of the reason why a lot of us clamor to see the day when those who didn't have to work for anything or have been benefiting from generational welfare get theirs. That is true. And for a lot of you guys who want to criticize us, what are you going to do about it? The other reason why a lot of individuals want to see these cuts is because, and shout out to Obsidian for the cuts rant, he's been really on this welfare cuts dream that a lot of people are looking forward to, particularly a lot of black men. And these black men are the kind of black men who, one, felt as if they're owed something from the community. And in many cases, it's not a monetary compensation. And before I go into detail, I will state this. They are not exactly wrong in their desires. They aren't, because every other community, real community, gets a portion of some sort of compensation in this very nature. But a lot of black men who are ranting and raving and rooting for the cuts, a lot of them are seeking, and I hate to say it like this, sexual reparations. Yeah, sexual reparations. The reparations that they feel that they deserve from being denied either sexual access in general or sexual access from the best women of whatever place or whatever hood or whatever lower middle income half crap hole that they came from. And a lot of these individuals will admit that a lot of the places that they came from were crap holes. And we have to admit, if you have a group of females, young teenage women or young adult women who by nature or nurture or BET or World Star Hip Hop have been programmed to deal with the worst kind of men from the jump when they're at their most valuable, only to go back to the men that they dogged out and point to them, ask them for help, and when the men say no, they outright become hostile to these same men, then yeah, these places are crap holes. What kind of place fosters these kind of women? You can't say these societies are real communities. This is the reason why I state communitize as a form of sarcasm to denote the black community, as a lot of people want to call it. And yes, there are individuals who want to revive the community and think that there's hope for black love, or think that there's a chance to restore the black community into a community because they lived in an era where instead of being effed up, it was screwed up. Instead of having rampant crime and rampant Pookies and Ray Rays and Shaniquas and Shanays with their babies kids terrorizing the neighborhood, there was just maybe 30% of the black population and whatever black community who represented the lower income elements. Now, let's just be honest. In most communities, the majority of people who live there represent the worst kind of black behavior. And as far as the desire to get these people off the welfare state so that the black race itself has some sort of chance to redeem its image, that I completely agree with you. As far as the sexual submission and the sexual reparations that some people are seeking for, a lot of these people feel screwed. A lot of these people feel robbed. And a lot of these people feel owed. I don't care if you call it wrong or right, this is the black and white of it. A lot of these people, a lot of these guys were considered non-select during their teenage years and their 20s, mainly because, and let's be honest, a lot of these men were not the typical black Negro that society has told us that we should expect. And especially the fact that a lot of these individuals suffered in silence. A lot of these individuals want some payback. They want some recompense. They want some compensation for their troubles. And they feel, whether you feel right or wrong about this, that the Daggle needs to pay the price. And paying the price the only way she can at this point, by being on all fours. That's what these men are looking for. Now, I'm not here to argue one way or the other, but in a way I can sympathize with these men because these were the kind of men who, if the Daggle, when they were young, decided to not be Daggles and to be responsible, respectful young black women and choose these men from the gate, like every other community chooses their best men, or at the very least men who work or have potential, then we wouldn't have the community that we have here today. We wouldn't have the embarrassment that the rest of the world sees and judges all blacks by. We wouldn't be last in everything good and first at everything bad. That's just the facts of it. So, in a way, I don't blame these men for having this rage against the machine known as the welfare state, because we all know the other side of the story, and we all know how a lot of these individuals, particularly those who were riding the horse for the longest time, treated these men. These are the same women who are like, I'm on this welfare state and my mom is on this state. She's been on it ever since she was born because Big Mama was on it. But everyone says Big Mama. Nobody remembers Big Mama, but I remember Big Mama. And Big Mama was just as ratchet as my mama. Actually, my mama was more ratchet than her. And I'm going to make it my life mission to be even more ratchet than she. Not me. That is what we've been sent here for. That is why we've been funded by the welfare state and big satty government, basically to be a pain in the ass of all the black men out there, particularly all the thinking men, all the good men, all the educated men. They ain't men, educated lame, excuse me, because y'all lames, and y'all mad because y'all didn't get this daggle booty when you were young, and I gave it up to not just Pookie and Ray Ray. Yeah, there were a bunch of poser ass Pookies and Ray Rays too who I gave it up to as well. I mean, the standard's so low that you don't even need to be a Pookie and Ray Ray these days. You just need to talk like, well, actually, you don't need to talk. You just need to mumble. Just mumble, man. I don't want to hear one of these. If you one of these Pookies and Ray Ray, you claim you hood, but you talk in English, even if you have a black accent and you slang and don't use apostrophes, then you're still an educated lame. Because back in my mama's day, yeah, you can talk with a bit of swag and fool the women back then, but we's know better than that. We knows better. We know who's really hood and who's not. So the more illiterate and inarticulate you is, the more likely that I'm gonna rock with you when I'm dang young and tight. But I want you educated lames to be on standby, because I need to fuck some shit up and then have you guys come back to the community and then build for me, because I don't know, I'm a beastie. I'm about to go BT 1100 in this biatch, and then you guys need to clean it up because I said so. Because guess what? My big satty government and the white man, they're putting all sorts of images out there to make you sexually unappealing with this R. Kelly stuff and this Chris Brown stuff and this Drake stuff and this Michael Jackson movie that's coming out. Y'all ain't gonna escape the plantation. Y'all ain't going nowhere. Me and White Satty, we's a tag team. Make sure you don't leave plantation and run to the arms and the community of Becky, Maylin, Marisol, Fatima, or whoever. We don't give a damn. We need y'all here, right here, to clean up our mess. Y'all ain't gonna have that peace. Not in this is America. Y'all want peace? Go to Canada, go to Europe, go to Japan, Australia, or New Zealand, the Philippines, Southeast Asia. You're better off going to the Middle East like Qatar and the UAE. Or if you aren't some sort of trick, you can even go to Africa and find your own peace. Or better yet, South America. Yeah, you Negroes, y'all can go to Sosua. Y'all trick Negroes and go to Sosua and Rio because y'all done messed it up for everybody else. Hearing what the Dago has to say on average, I don't blame these men for going out and wanting cuts all day long. The real question is, for all of you guys who want these cuts and these women to submit back down to you in all fours, why do you want these women back? These women have shown you where their allegiance lies, whether it's with quote-unquote Mr. Charlie or quote-unquote Pookie and Ray Ray. A lot of these individuals, they do not see you as the alpha male. A lot of these individuals, these daggles, never saw you as the alpha male. And in many cases, they will never see you as the alpha male. even if they submit to you sexually, keep it in the back of your mind that they are only doing this for compulsory needs. They are only doing this out of necessity. A lot of these individuals who basically will talk up and down to you, especially when they're young, thin, and tight, yeah, they may submit to you, but don't get it twisted. A lot of these individuals are only doing this because of necessity, and if they had any other choice, they would be messing around with anyone and anything but you. But the fact of the matter is this: cuts are at best a pipe dream, and at worst something that will not happen because it is designed for them to be this way in order for us to look bad. And let's just say we got rid of the welfare state right now. How would the rest of this country take it? We aren't going to even look at the trailer trash war on the welfare, but let's just say we got rid of the welfare and then the Daggles and the Pookies and Ray Rays died out. Do you realize how much of these alt-righters, specifically the reason why they have the strength to get up and not off themselves every day is because they can look themselves in the mirror and consider themselves to be better than blacks? Do you know how much self-confidence that would affect a lot of these alt-righters who are race realists and race first and going to rebuild their societies with self-hating Maylins from China? You know how much of these individuals would be pissed, at the very least, if they saw nothing but thinking black men and even thinking black women? These guys would go livid. Shootings like what happened in South Carolina would go up tremendously because of the competition. Not only the competition in jobs, the competition with women, but just the image in general. The image of thinking black men, especially being the standard of black American men, it would be over for a lot of these guys. And to be honest, I don't even think that they fear so as much the rise of the Daggles and their Pookie and Ray Ray simps. But I think they fear the rise of the alt-right incels if and when the standard image of black men become that of thinking classic or just even everyday brothers. That is what society fears. And that is why this welfare state exists. And that's also the reason why they're making it hell on earth for you to leave this country. Shout out to the Thank You Man's Templar. I saw someone in the post stated that they want us to leave this country. I'm not leaving because my ancestors fought and died for... Dude, there have been plenty of people whose ancestors fought and died for their homelands just for their homelands to become crap. And only to realize that once they step outside America, they're treated more like Americans than they were in their homeland. That's what they don't want you to realize. So, go on ahead. Don't be afraid. Step outside the United States. The water is much warmer. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.